Today, I'm gonna make a video on Jupiter. Jupiter is the planet of expansion. Jupiter is the planet of teaching. So, he can often be associated with dogma. He can often be associated with wisdom. You could say dogma is like a left-handed trait of the Jupiter energy. But it's also right-handed. So, Jupiter likes to expand. That's what it does. It's got a very significant mass to it. And so, due to the mass of Jupiter, it's here to amass in abundance. See what I'm saying? Because Jupiter, whatever it touches in your natal chart, it expands. Why? Why does it do that? Let's say you have Jupiter conjunct Uranus, right? Your detachment, your uniqueness, your originality will be a point of your overall ideal, high ideal, because in a conjunction, the two planets they get very close and they merge, and as above, so below. Just like when two planets, two people on this planet, when they get closer, they merge. So the powers are shared. You have shared powers. Uranus and Jupiter. So when Uranus is expanded, it's able to let go of all this shit, right? That's necessary because if you don't know how to let go of that shit, you might just be constipated, baby. You might just be constipated. Who wants to be constipated, baby? Nobody wants to be constipated. Nobody. Except for... well, let's not get into that. Anyways, my point being, Jupiter is the planet of abundance. It gets the energy moving, flowing. Because the more options you have, the more you can get things rolling. Jupiter is the planet of experience. When you're living life, Jupiter also rules the liver also. Something to keep in mind. Whatever planet you have conjunct with your Jupiter is going to be expanded. If you have Jupiter conjunct Saturn, your depression could be expanded. Your responsibility can be expanded. Your security can make you optimistic. You can be quite optimistic through struggles, challenges. But at the same time, you can feel this restriction of your optimism. This sort of, you don't have enough optimism at times. with Jupiter conjunct Saturn. But at the same time, you have the abundance of security, the abundance of responsibility, which kind of it all just balances out. You know, everything in the whole cosmos, every single conjunction, opposition, sextile, semi-sextile, trine, square, I probably renamed a few things, but the point being, any aspect you can think of, it's like, do you know how to get some pizza? Thank you. That's how we make the pizza. You know, that's how you make the pizza. See what I'm saying? Because looking at it from a bigger picture perspective, we can see that's not just one slice. This is why a lot of people don't know about astrology for what it is. They look at this slice and they're like, oh wow, what kind of pizza is that? Look at the bigger picture. Not every slice has pineapple on it, right? Not every pizza slice and every pizza parlor has pineapple. So what I'm telling you now is, if you find pineapple in your pizza, right? Make sure to call 1-800-Pineapple Doctors, the movie. This is a really good movie to watch with your children, with your squirrels, anyone. You can watch this underneath a leaf, or you can watch this out in in an astral reef. It's a very great movie. Now I don't remember the name. I'll let you know when I see this video again and remember what I just said. Then I'll be sure to post it in the comments. It's just such a great movie. But anyways, Jupiter. See, my Jupiter is conjunct Mercury, so I have an abundance of things to say that might take me over here and over there and over here and up here and to the left and to the side. And my Jupiter is also conjunct the Sun, so I'm having fun with it, you know? I'm having a fun time, I'm self-expressing, I'm creating. I have an abundance of creativity, an abundance of happiness. Oh yeah. I have an abundance of happiness. So, let me go back to Jupiter with Uranus. Jupiter conjunct Uranus, it brings a uniqueness to your philosophy. And at the same time, it brings an abundance of detachment. So, those who possess this conjunction of Jupiter conjunct Uranus, they are very detached from their ideal reward, from their own philosophy. Also, when it comes to how they actually they preach in a way where they're just like, it's like they're not even there, if you get what I'm saying. Like they're sort of in between worlds. Like Uranus is in between physicality in the physical world and the fantasy, which is just the spirit world. So it's kind of like in the quantum field, you know, where it's still like, it's still astral. It's like a heaven, but it's like, it's not exactly formless. It's not exactly like a, how should I put this? Uranus is like this quantum field where you have this meta awareness of physical reality. You have a meta awareness, which means you can see beyond it. You can see beyond the physical existence. But at the same time, you have this conceptual data input. But at the same time, there is this attachment to identity, like, as in, it's contained. You know, if there, the ego is a container. You know, the ego in Latin, it means self. So if there's a boundary or a container, that means that there's an ego. So Uranus still has a container or an ego. That's why it has a water bearer. You know, it has a water bearer. So like with Saturn, it is able to use uh, that bucket, you know, to pour out its magical flavors. But um, Jupiter conjunct Uranus, it's like you're able to pivot from your philosophies. Like you can just you can really liberate yourself just by you preaching. When you teach other people, you liberate not only other people but yourself. With with Jupiter conjunct Uranus. So it's gonna lead you into some higher cause, you know, that can change the world if you have Jupiter with Uranus, because Uranus changes changes the world. All of the planets that are past Saturn, the outer planets, they always deal with changes. Every single one. Neptune, Pluto, and Uranus, all of them deal with change. So Uranus is transformation. So your philosophy goes through many transformations with Jupiter conjunct Uranus. And people try to rebel against you at times, or people have tried to rebel against you as you express your ideal, as you preach, as you teach, as you expand. People might try to rebel against you or alienate you if you have Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Now, moving on to, let's say, Jupiter conjunct Mars. If you have Jupiter conjunct Mars, then so the difference between Jupiter with Uranus and Jupiter Mars, like, so when I say there's going to be some rebellion and opposition with Jupiter conjunct Uranus, you're going to go through an abundance of weird occurrences with Jupiter conjunct Uranus. You're going to experience these weird things. Meet a lot of weird people. Um, Weird, etymologically speaking, connects to the ability to control fate. So one's ability to control fate is connected to the word weird. Now, so Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Uranus is the planet of alienation and weirdness, and extraterrestrials. So Jupiter conjunct Uranus people, they experience a lot of this stuff, this extraterrestrial stuff, and but they might experience a lot of opposition from social groups or something like that with Uranus, but they might how should I put this? They'll know how to see the bigger picture of it because Jupiter gives them that abundance. They'll go through enough experiences until they can actually see the bigger picture of why they have to transform. It's like they're transforming things on a bigger picture. But anyways, they have an abundance of uniqueness, um, and they're very. It's like when they're teaching, it's like they have this perfect like ethereal teaching style. You know, it's like so beautiful with Jupiter conjunct Uranus. Now moving on to Jupiter with Mars. So Mars deals with opposition, but it's more so in a direct way than Uranus. Uranus deals with rebellion, which that word rebellion. This is the key distinction. Re means again, and bellion, bel means war, and an ion means time. So it means again wartime. So if you create a rebellion, it means you're saying again there is wartime. So going back to Mars. Mars is the planet of war. So how does this differ between Mars and Uranus? What's the distinction as far as opposition and friction goes? Mars is more so dealing with individual will. It's individual will expressed for one's personal gain. It's one's personal gain within their. It's like in their blood, you know, the heat of their blood, you know, sending them an impulse. It's the pulse of the I am, Mars. The pulse of the I am. So Mars is more so about like head-on fighting, and combat and war, whereas Uranus is a planet of like rebellion and reform and change. So Uranus, in relation to Mars, Uranus is not like Martian like, where it's just like trying to direct its energy for a goal individually. It's more so using the energy of the quantum field, including whatever group or social group they might be a part of, that creates a quantum field in itself, which is a metasphere. Every metasphere goes beyond the status quo, you know, or the traditional base reality of whatever realm you're in. Whatever realm you're in, when you form a social group, that creates this sort of meta sphere where you can speak about the natures of these traditions that are set up in this status quo, and you're able to go beyond it. Now, that involves going against systematic practices. That's Uranus. Now, with Mars, Mars more so is dealing with just one's ambition and one's will. It's one's personal will or ambition. And it doesn't matter, it's not necessarily concerned with other people's, like Uranus, in a sense. Like, as far as Uranus rules Aquarius, an air sign, so it's air sign deals with other people. Whereas, you know, Mars is fiery, and Uranus is ethereal. So ether, it's kind of like impersonal, but it's still with Uranus. There's still this attachment to personal will, but it's loose. It's loose. It's a loose attachment to individual will. As far as like having selfish intentions. But when it comes to the individual will of Uranus, as to how it pertains to going about life, I think it's very strong, but that's more so about like lifestyle or detaching from status quo rather than actually aiming at a particular goal directly. Whereas Mars is this drive to just get the thing done. Mars is the drive to take action, whereas Uranus is this impulse. It's this ethereal impulse to detach and to turn at an axis. So after giving a few examples of how it's different, let me finally get into Mars conjunct Jupiter. So Mars conjunct Jupiter, you have Mars. Mars is your ambition. It's your willpower. It's your selfish fight. And when I say selfish fight, it's like compared to Uranus, it's more personal. So it's more of the self. So Jupiter conjunct Mars compared to Jupiter conjunct Uranus, the teaching style will be perhaps more personal to this person. Jupiter conjunct Mars, they're personal about their philosophy. They're very passionate about it. Very passionate. Because Mars is a personal planet, whereas Uranus is impersonal. So, with Mars conjunct Jupiter, these people, they have a strong will to act on their philosophy. Their philosophy is like that of war god, which means that they want to really just they want to carry it out with utmost passion, like a soldier. So they are soldiers for their philosophy, and also their philosophy is like that of a soldier. It works both ways because every conjunction works both ways. So they have a militant teaching style. Now we have to look at the sign, of course. Like, let's say that someone has Mars conjunct Jupiter in Cancer. Um, if they have Mars conjunct Jupiter in Cancer, then they will have this intention to preach, but it's also sort of it's coming from a place of like resonance and emotional caring. Like they want to care for the people by preaching to them, or if they teach to the person, it might mean they're actually just very close with them. If they have Jupiter Mars conjunct each other in Cancer, so basically, they want to aggressively teach to the people that they are close with. Um, this Mars conjunct Jupiter in Cancer because Cancer deals with connections and closeness. It's not just people they're close with, but also they'll want to they'll want to if someone tries to criticize or if someone tries to go against them, then they can direct their philosophy at the person and act with a more high ground when responding to enemies. They try to act with high ground when dealing with enemies. Jupiter conjunct Mars, because Jupiter deals with the high ground, the highness, the high vibration, or attaining to a higher goal, and then or higher ideal rather, and then you have Mars, which is the direct impulse, the god of war. And so you have someone who they have an abundance of physical energy. Jupiter conjunct Mars people. So Jupiter conjunct Mars people, they they have an abundance of energy, but sometimes they just don't know how to actually expend it all. If it's, say, like in Cancer, because Cancer brings it into the emotions, so the person might take actions, uh, or they might have put their intentions in the emotions, and but then when they expand on that, then it can be so much intensity within the emotions they don't know how to carry it out in a way that makes sense. So when you're dealing with imbalance, you always can always look to the opposite sign to balance things out. Like if there's not enough rationality in your Mars, for instance, so let's say it's in Cancer, look to the opposite sign, Capricorn, ruled by Saturn. Saturn brings rationality, so it's going to rationalize, it's going to practicalize, and it's going to put it into a sort of structure to where you can work with that. So working with this Saturn energy, you can balance that out. But anyways, moving on. If you have Jupiter conjunct, uh, let's say the moon. If you have Jupiter conjunct the moon, then you have a natural amiability about you.